A Michigan man was recently arrested after allegedly threatening to kill CNN employees. Now, this was reported by a local station, WGCL-TV. Now, the FBI launched an investigation into the man, who is unnamed so far. Well, his name has come out. I'm actually not going to say his name because that might actually give him more undue attention. But he reportedly called CNN 22 times within the span of a week. So, according to court documents that were recently unsealed, a lot of these calls happen to be very threatening. Now, for one, and I'm going to say, I'm going to basically repeat what he said. He said, "Fake news, I'm coming to gun you all down." He later called again saying, "I'm smarter than you, more powerful than you. I have more guns than you, more manpower. Your caste is about to get gunned down in a matter of hours. It gets worse." He also said, "I'm coming to Georgia right now to go to the CNN headquarters to effing gun every single last one of you." Now, those are very clear threats. So now, thankfully, of course, the FBI agents, since this guy doesn't seem to be very smart, were able to track him down. They arrested him over the threats. And so, thankfully, he actually wasn't able to go and carry those threats out. Now, there's some question on whether or not he would be able to carry those out. His father had later said, look, the kid, he didn't know what he's doing. He didn't actually mean any of those threats. We didn't even own guns, right? But nonetheless, this is very, very serious. And look, based on the way that he was saying things, I think you know who inspired him. This is obviously a Trump-inspired person. Whether or not they're crazy, and they'll figure that out later if they, do a mental health screening or something on him to figure out his state of mind when he made this call or made these calls. But look, the overall point here is words have consequences, and I don't just mean the threats. Look, President Trump has called the press the enemy. Now, the thing is, you can't just go and call the press the enemy if they don't agree with you or if they give you unfavorable coverage. Because what happens when you start framing it in that way is that there is a certain percentage of people who will take that rhetoric and possibly turn it into violent action or at least make threats. Now, thankfully, again, this guy didn't get a chance, but this is also what happens when you demagogue a group. In this case, reporters. In this case, the press. One of the things that Trump supporters had called the press? Lügenpresse. That is what Nazi Germany, people in Nazi Germany, actually called the press that was against the Nazi regime. Lügenpresse. And this has been heard at Trump rallies. They've been incredibly hostile to the press. Now, as for this guy, again, this isn't the first time that he's called being somewhat threatening. He earlier called the Islamic Center of Ann Arbor and made derogatory comments relating to Muslims. Now, who else has been making comments against Muslims? Oh, right, President Trump, who's wanted to ban them for the country, and actually has tried to push a Muslim ban that would, again, stop people who are Muslim from coming into the country. But see, look, speaking demagogue, right, demagoguery, that's exactly what Trump is. I mean, and he's pushing all this fake news stuff as well. Now, that said, does CNN have a bias? Absolutely. Of course they have a bias. Does MSNBC have a bias? Of course. Does Fox News have a bias? Of course. All these different media outlets have a bias. I have a bias, right? But here's the thing, right? Do you guys believe that CNN goes in the back and makes stuff up in order to attack Trump? No. See, what CNN and a lot of these mainstream outlets have is a perspective, right? Their perspective is the establishment, right? So they live in a Washington bubble. They talk to all the rich people. They talk to the elite. That's why, for example, Bernie Sanders, they can't fathom why Bernie Sanders has any sort of popularity, why progressive policies have any sort of popularity. Because they go and they talk to their buddies, their rich investor friends that might be negatively impacted by higher tax rates. And they're like, no, Bernie Sanders, he could never win. No, because we don't like Bernie Sanders. Do you guys like Bernie Sanders? No, I don't like Bernie Sanders. So that's why places like the Washington Post will write 16 negative articles against Bernie Sanders in 16 hours. Is that a perspective? Yes. Is that a bias? Yes. Are they making up fake things in the back? No. Do they omit information? Of course. They do omit information. So, and of course, that goes to the perspective, that goes to shaping a narrative. Again, are they making up fake things? No. So that's a very important distinction. So I think unlike President Trump and a lot of the right wing, they at least operate inside of reality, even if their perspective and their bias is completely clear. But Trump's motivation in attacking the news, and this is different from when, say, I critique CNN or I critique MSNBC. It's not that he wants to make the media better. It's not that the right wants to change media so that it is better at informing people. No, it's to destroy media that they don't like. It's to destroy outlets that don't have favorable coverage of you. And they hate that. He's going to tell you that you're fake news, that you can't trust them at all. He's going to tell you that they're the enemies of America. And look, when you have that kind of rhetoric, you can't be surprised when someone calls certain outlets or targets certain journalists with either threats or actual violence. Because you have the president of the United States out there saying that that's okay. They are our enemy. Go after them. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.